Hi everyone, it's Pippa from the Advantage here, Specialist Support Services for Girls and Women with ADHD. Today's topic is people pleasing, a characteristic of many girls and women with ADHD. Basically, people pleasing is when just about anybody, could be the postman, a friend, family member, colleague, comes up to you and says, will you, could you, can you? And we just say, yeah, of course, no problem. And launch in with both feet, not thinking first, do I have time? Do I have energy? Do I have the skills? Do I even want to do this? We just agree. So I think that one of the reasons why we do it undoubtedly is our impulsivity. We don't have the inhibitory skills to rein ourselves in. That's part of it. And probably as well, we're seeking kind of stimulation and excitement and, experiencing new things. And this person has given us the opportunity to do that. And also we are quite keen to get the adoration, the affection, the affirmation of others, because when we get that, we also get a dopamine hit. So, dopamine wise, people pleasing is probably quite good in that regard. Also, it might be a bit of an escape route for us. Maybe what we're doing what we were doing in the first place was quite boring or maybe quite difficult for us. So it's an excuse to, get away and not face what we had to do. And another thing could be that if it's our stuff, we are totally happy to park that because it's ours and it can wait because it belongs to me. It really isn't that important. That's not a great frame of mind to have, but I do think that it's very common amongst women that their stuff is right at the bottom of the list. Even like the dog comes higher than them. We often are putting ourselves to the bottom of the list. Our needs, our to-dos are right there at the bottom, which isn't great. So when we do people please, in the moment it's quite fulfilling and great, but there is always a price to pay, and normally in the end it's our self-esteem that takes a hit, because while we've been doing their thing with them, pleasing them, our stuff hasn't got done, and then we've come back to face that and we have that horrible sinking feeling of like, damn, I've done it again, didn't learn from last time, here I am again, I can help other people, but can't help myself, can't move myself forward. That becomes a bit of a kind of a repetitive, it's a cycle, I guess, which isn't helpful. And we need to break it really. And we can't let that be the story that we tell ourselves, that we're good for other people, but we're not good for ourselves. We need to do things to make us better for ourselves, I guess. So I've got a few ideas of what you could do to improve this situation. First of all, when it's your project, your work, your task, instead of it being about you and you doing something, it might be helpful to attach your project, your work, to the audience to which it's intended to. So for example, today I've been writing notes for this video. So I could say to myself, I'm writing notes for my video. But then, if there's a squirrel in the garden, I might just go and have a little look at that. Or if it catches me on Netflix, might just be having a little bit of a watch of that. But if I say to myself, you need to put those notes together for that video that's going to help fellow ADHD women out there, then suddenly it becomes more of a priority for me, because don't want to let you guys down, right? Do you see what I mean? It's just a trick, it's the same thing. It's a trick I'm playing on my brain, linking my task to the audience. And that can work with like something as mundane as cleaning out a cupboard. Why am I doing it? Cleaning out the cupboard, well, because it's dirty probably, or it needs sorting out. But you could say to yourself, I am cleaning out this cupboard so I can find items I do not use to give to charity. So you're giving it to charity, it's more of a priority. Do you see what I'm saying there? That might help. I also think that a buffer is vital. You need to find some kind of prompt or script or something that is going to give you that buffer between the moment that you're asked, can you, to the moment that you have to reply. So for me, my script, my buffer, my prompt, if you like, is I need to check my calendar and I'll get back to you, because that gives me a chance to reflect and think, you know, when Poppy says, can I take her to the airport next week? How long does that take, right? And if there's traffic, it might be this long. Okay, what else am I doing on that day? What are my kids doing on that day? Does my husband need me to do anything on that day? It helps me, you know, ask myself all those questions before I go back to Poppy and say, yes, absolutely, I can do that. Or no, I'm so sorry, that isn't going to work for me. So having that buffer, trying to come up with a phrase that or something that it creates some sort of space between the question and your answer, that could help. Also, I think that we help ourselves tremendously when we take care of ourselves. Self-care is not like a bonus feature or an add-on. It should be the priority. And I tell you, if it is your priority, looking after yourself, then you are the best version of yourself in all of your roles, and you are just better at everything. But if you don't take care of yourself, then every part of your life will take a hit. So if I'm not taking care of myself and Poppy's asking me to take her to the airport, I'm just going to be like, yeah, okay then, you know, of course. And then I will repent at leisure about the fact that I didn't get that report written, that spreadsheet's not filled in, I didn't, you know, whatever it was that I was supposed to be doing, that, you know, I will feel horrible about. So self-care, it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be fancy. For me, it's walking and running with my dog, and also I like walking with my husband and my dog. I like being out in the countryside. I'm really lucky to live in a beautiful area, that really helps me. I do like getting my nails done as well. That's a little bit of self-care right there. Makes me feel like a lady, you know. But self-care, if I'm in good shape, if I'm taking care of myself, then I'm more capable of making better decisions about my time. So there are lots of reasons why you should self-care, and that's one of them. Also, I think boundaries are important. If you don't have any boundaries, if you haven't set any boundaries, then you don't realise they're infringed until you're crumpled in a heap on the floor because you've spread yourself too thin. I would suggest it's useful to come up with some boundaries, some actual rules for yourself, that, you know, principles that you're going to live by that suit you, you know, they're not to punish you, to suit you. So for example, you might say to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to go out 2 nights in a row because that wipes me out and then I'm ruined for the rest of the week. So I'm not going to do that. You might say to yourself, you know what, 3 appointments maximum a day, that's all I'm going to do because it's quite exhausting and it's a lot of note writing, and really I want to make sure that the beginning of my day and the end of my day is free for my family, for whatever reasons. Set your boundaries and your principles and make them, you know, clear. You can write them out, you know, if you want to, but have them clear in your head. And then if someone asks you something that goes over your boundary, well, then you know your boundary has been overstepped, and you can protect your boundary by saying no. Says she. I've got to admit, I do find the word no really, really hard to say. But luckily, there are other ways of saying no, which seem a lot more gentle, and I can manage them. So if you're like me and you struggle with the word no, here are some suggestions. You might say, I'm sorry, I wish I could, but it's not going to work right now. It's still a no, right? You could say, oh, wow, you know, thanks so much for your support and your encouragement on this. But unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't have time to whatever it was with you this time, but please ask me again next time you're doing whatever it was that they were doing. You could say, oh, I'm sorry, this week my calendar is absolutely full, but next time you go to the wherever it was they were going, please ask me again, I'd love to come. If you feel like you need some backup, you could say, I've promised my coach, my husband, my partner, my dog, whatever it is, I've promised them that I would be home at this time, or I would be doing something with them because I'm trying to get more balance in my life. You could try something like that. Or no one's going to argue with you putting your kids first, your family first, so you can just say, oh, you know what, it's my son's rugby practice then and I never miss it, or that's when I visit my mum, it's a regular date we have, never miss it. You could do something like that. Anyway, guys, people pleasing can be a great joy, of course, but sometimes the price we pay isn't worth it, and we must look after ourselves and get in the habit of saying no and protecting ourselves. So I wish you well with that.